Hey guys, Chris here with a quick belt video on a belt that I picked up recently. This is a custom design belt that was actually designed by the previous owner of the belt. The previous owner was a close friend of Mr. Reggie Parks. So he and Reggie both designed this belt, which is a custom designed television championship mid-card belt. And I thought I'd do a quick video on it. One, because it's a one-of-a-kind belt, and two, I don't see too many of Reggie's belts on YouTube, so I thought this would be something nice to add. So I've only had this belt a little while now. This was one of Reggie's last belts that he made. To my knowledge, this was a belt that was made completed in July of 2021. And Reggie, of course, unfortunately passed away in October of that same year. So I believe it's one of the last belts that he made. I'm not certain which one was his very last, but it's just incredible that he was still making belts at 87 years old. I think that's incredibly impressive. It just shows that he loved what he did. And I really like this belt. This is a really cool design, and I thought I'd give you guys a closer look. This is a television championship made by Reggie Parks. Okay, here we are with a slightly better view. So this is a 5-plate belt. I want to say 5, it does have a logo plate, but a 5-plate belt. As I mentioned, it's a custom design. Now this is one of Reggie's last belts, and obviously at 87 years old, his hands perhaps weren't as steady as they were in his prime, so the leatherwork isn't his best, but it's still a genuine Reggie Parks belt, which I think is just such a thrill to own. There you can see he's got the Midwest texture there in the snap box, which has evolved over time a little bit. One of the reasons I really like this belt is because, as I mentioned before, it incorporates various pieces of some of his really popular, famous belts. And the one that speaks to me straight off the bat looking at the main plate is the Eagles, which were used on several of his belts, most notably perhaps being the Andre 87 belt, but many others as well. The etching on the belt's fantastic. Now the belt isn't in A+ condition or anything. Like, there are some scratches and marks on it, but I kind of like that too. I mean, not every belt has to be perfect, and it does give it some character as well. The side plates have the cameras on the belt, being a television championship belt that was used on the NWA TV belt, which I think is just great. And there you've got the grapplers, which have appeared on many of Reggie's belts. And the cool thing about this belt is that these side plates have these kind of like that Baroque style bordering, which was also on the Andre 87, but also just a little bit different as well. Some really deep etching at the top. You'll have to excuse the dirt on the belt. I haven't really had a good chance to give this a deep clean or anything yet. I should probably do that soon. But again, I think it's just incredible that Reggie was still making these at 87 years old. I can only imagine doing leather still, 20 years from now. I think it'd be quite difficult, but let alone 50 years from now. I think that's just incredible. On the other side, the other two side plates, I have noticed that Reggie's blue paint is very identifiable on a lot of his belts. It's almost got this inconsistent sort of blotchy color to it. You can probably see in the light, it's not consistently blue all the way across. It's like this blotchy color, which is very identifiable as his paint. And that's the same on this little globe here. Moving along, and this is the logo plate that was included on the belt. Kind of similar shape to perhaps the WWF logo plate, but they've obviously added a bar here for professional wrestling world television champion. And on this side it's a 2x4 snap box with a gold tip. I've noticed that the Reggie tips have that little symbol there, little maker's symbol. Very identifiable as a Reggie belt. Now the main plate itself isn't too curved. It's actually got a subtle curve, but not too deep. And I have noticed that it's only a subtle curve on most of his belts. He used to put them through a plate roller, or as he would call it, a buckle roller. He used to call these buckles. And it's only just a subtle curve. I guess my only criticism about this belt would be that the size of it is very, very large for a mid-card belt, for a television championship belt. It's a very, very large belt. So unless the world heavyweight belt, if this was included in a set of belts, was incredibly big, this would look a little bit oversized in my opinion. But in saying that, I still think it's a lovely belt. Okay, on the back of the belt, Reggie used a black leather backing. He did use real leather. And one thing I've noticed about Reggie's belts was, one, the posts of the belt were always sort of brought in towards the center of the plate. They're never really on the edges. And the other thing I noticed was that he used to really grind them down as far as he could. You can probably see on each of the plates, there's really not much bolt showing. He's really ground it all the way down and used like a hexagon nut to keep it really flush on the back so you get a nice smooth finish, which is a really nice touch. I know from personal experience it's a real pain grinding those bolts, so very, very cool. Folds over nicely. So there you have it. That is a custom television championship by Reggie Parks. One of a kind belt. And I think it's a really cool design. I'm really happy to own something by Reggie. I'm a huge fan of his work, and just his legacy as well is just incredible. So I thought I'd share that and share this belt on YouTube, because I think there should be more of it on there. Anyway guys, that's about all I have for this belt. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Cheers. Bye.